Chapter 16. Examination of Bondage and Release. Verse 1. If mental conformations are transmigratory, that is, as cyclic nature, they, as permanent entities, do not transmigrate. In fact, as impermanent entities they also do not transmigrate. The same relationship also holds true for a sentient being. Verse 2. If man's individuality is transmigratory with respect to the fivefold realms of skandhas, ayatanas, and dhatus, then it is non-existent. What then does transmigrate? Verse 3. Anything moving from one central grasping to another will be without a body or form. How does a bodiless or non-grasping thing ever transmigrate? Verse 4. Why is it that nirvana or quiescence is not possible with mental conformations? And also, why is it that even a sentient being is not possible of nirvana? Verse 5. The mental conformations are endowed with the characteristics of production and extinction, and thus cannot be bound or attain release. Similarly, a sentient being cannot be bound or attain release. Verse 6. If sensual grasping per se is bound or restricted, then the grasping entity will be free from bonds. A non-grasping entity will also be free from bonds. Then, in what abiding condition is one bound? Verse 7. If bonds exist prior to the bondage, they could bind freely or at will. But this is not so. The other matters have already been discussed with respect to gamyamana, gata, and agata. Verse 8. In truth, then, a bound entity cannot be released, and it is so also with an unbound entity. If by chance a bound entity is in the process of being released, then bondage and release will be simultaneous phenomena. Verse 9. Those who delight in maintaining, without the grasping I will realize nirvana, nirvana is in me, are the very ones with the greatest grasping. Verse 10. Where nirvana is not subject to establishment, and samsara is not subject to disengagement, how will there be any conception of nirvana and samsara?